AskReddit by Glorung 1536. Which profession attracts the worst kinds of people? Deleted. Having an ego makes it easier to succeed in sales. You have to have insane amounts of confidence to succeed in sales, and it can be very difficult to be that confident without crossing over in being egotistical. Stockbrokers. I have some friends who are stockbrokers. I love them, but man, they are some bullshit artists. And not like, oh, they're a good salesman, and could sell you anything. No, it's like they make shit up as they go along and try to sound confident in what they say. I have met a couple people who were successful, lifelong stockbrokers. To be a successful, lifelong stockbroker, you actually have to like what you do. They all had crazy eyes. Each and every one. Deleted. Having briefly been involved in politics, I'd only disagree that it attracts power-hungry narcissists. What's more accurate is that it filters for them. If you join because you want to make a positive difference, if you want to respect people, if you want to actually follow the rules, you're wildly disadvantaged, and the systems in place are largely intended to produce that effect. So anyone sane gets filtered out, and the only people who remain are the ones willing to do anything to gain and retain power. My mum worked in a prison. She said that a lot of the men in there for sex offenses against children were looking for jobs like driving ice cream vans, dressing as Santa at shopping centers etc. as they liked kids sitting on their laps etc. Apparently it's way more common than people would think. I was a correctional officer and the people who were in for the worst crimes were always the nicest, most respectful inmates and looked very normal, whatever normal is really. I think that's what was always really creepy. Hollywood producer it seems. Over and over and over. Politician. Over and over. Edit. It is time to stop now people. You gotta go home. The executives that run MLMs. They are all bullies and manipulators. The worst kind of people that will tell you that your brother's funeral is a good place to recruit investors. Okay, so not really a profession, but there is a certain subset of musicians who are also wannabe influencers, particular people who are very on Twitter so backstabby and cloud hungry. I find it worse the opposite way, the influencers who try to be musicians. Paparazzi. I don't particularly pay attention to celebrity shit, but I'll never forget when paparazzi climbed up the fucking fence around Michelle Williams, I think that's her name. It's been a minute, after Heath Ledger, her husband, died to fucking snap photos of a woman grieving her husband who had unexpectedly passed away a matter of days ago. I was pretty deep into my Lil Archer punk, fuck mainstream media who cares kinda stage at that time. But I remember feeling such a deep sadness for homegirl that not only did she have to deal with her husband's untimely death and taking care of their kids by herself, she also had to deal with these grimy ass MFs trying to make a buck off of photos of her sobbing in her own backyard. I thought I wanted to be an architect, but then I met a bunch of architects, and architecture students, and architecture professors, and they were pretty much all assholes. It was weird. I mean, how could it be so consistent? But there ya have it. I used to teach in a program that often fed students into the world of architecture. Every semester I would orchestrate one charrette where I would bring in architects to critique student work. No matter how much coaching I did, to both visiting architects and students would feel crushed by the feedback. There were almost always tears. I often hear back from students that it was the most impactful part of our work together. Pyramid scheme. Property agents. I have had a few friends that have become realtors later in life. The ones that stayed with it totally changed who they are. After a few years they are hardly recognizable as the same people. Vain, shallow, and 100% of the time they are in character and trying to sell. Sales. Ironically, I am also getting into sales. Spent several years in sales. I made the most money I've ever made in my life. I also lost nearly all respect for the intelligence of the average human. Judging by the comments, there are just shitty people everywhere. Who'd have thought? Yeah, I was scrolling and figured there's a little bit of everyone. Except for police. A lot of police. Reality TV. And by extension, influencers. Scrolled down for a few seconds. Haven't seen engineers. Few. Software engineer tech bro is really ramping up in that department, don't worry. Law enforcement double-edged sword, because it attracts the best and the worst. The best in people who want to help, protect, and do good. The worst in people who want to exact authority over people. Power-hungry assholes who are insecure and have short fuses and low tolerance for defiance. If you can't handle someone defying you without losing your shit, you shouldn't be a cop. Edit, spelling. It's any job that has a position of power that goes unchecked, including politics, that seems to have the worst humans. Law enforcements need to be upheld at a higher standard, due to their position of power and how easily they can take advantage of a lot of situations. Dash and body cam shouldn't be turned off or covered for any reasons, unless they're using the bathroom. But yet here we are with scumbags taking advantage of their position of power and only getting slapped on the wrist. Substance abuse mental health professionals seem to fall into one of the following categories. Wonderful, angelic and highly competent souls who truly want to help drug addicts, alcoholics. There may be 20% of the counselors, optimistically. B. Burnt out incompetent lazy don't care types. Another 60% or C. Absolute personality disordered, narcissistic Machiavellian sadistic types who really get off on the enormous power control they have over the lives and fates of the people under their care. Maybe another 20% dart. YMMV. The last group can do a lot of damage. This makes me feel very grateful for not having ever encountered anyone in category C so fucked to wield power like that over people at their absolute most desperate. I would also say to anyone, don't let the fear of those types stop you from getting the care you need. The category A people make it worth it. Elementary school front desk administrator. The trouble is the shit they see. My sweetest pie mother was one and a number of non-custody parents who tried to check out a kid they had no right to take, and would get violent or aggressive when she said I can't let you by law, or the number of absolute psychos who would try to sneak their way into the school, or the number of parents who didn't come to pick up their kid 4 hours after school ended and she had to decide between traumatizing the kid by calling the police or sitting there 4 hours after her shift ended to ensure the kid wasn't alone outside the office. Dude, the job is rough. Tow truck drivers. At least 80% of all the tow truck drivers I've met have been felons, and about 98% have been shady dickheads. Yes. I had an accident on the highway a few years ago. It was a multiple car collision, and nobody got hurt. But I remember a couple of towing truck drivers literally fighting each other to take my car even though it was fully drivable. One of them told me that we just needed to get it out of the highway, and he would release it right away. I fell for it and let him take it. Well, he lied, he didn't want to release my car until I paid him $500. Removed. I can imagine it being an insanely stressful job, especially at peak travel time at an airport like LAX or NYJFK. Sales, estate agents, recruiters. I was a recruiter. I can confirm. My office had tons of drinking, drugs and married executives sleeping with recruiters 10 plus years younger. Politicians. Bouncers. I swear those people are always looking to create trouble so they can exercise their right to kick ass. Former bouncer in my youth. And I can 100% confirm that most of the drama we were in was caused by the two biggest guys that just wanted to fuck with people and brag about it while we were having our after shift drinks. Removed. Everyone. You'll start to realize it's people. My favorite movie line is a person is smart, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals. It's so true. Sales. I swear to God, salesmen have an uncanny knack for justifying immoral decisions. Maybe it's because it's so frequently paid in piece rates, so they will quite literally do say anything to get the sale, even if it's 100% false. But our salesmen seem like they would sell their mom to the devil for a quarter if given the opportunity. The 3 P's: politics, police, and paparazzi. Psychology. There are lots of great people in that field, but it also attracted the most manipulate and destructive asshole I've ever known. He's a licensed therapist now, and I feel sorry for anyone who crosses his path. I am a graduated psychology student, and I would say that about 30% of students were really kind, empathetic people that were passionate about helping others. The rest were some of the most disturbed, unpleasant people I have ever met in my life. I studied computer science for a year before psychology, and the computer science students were a million times more compassionate on average. Not all nurses are mean girls, but all mean girls are nurses. And the ones that can't cut it are learning support educators. Law enforcement seems to have some problems. In my experience, literally every profession ever. Every job I've ever worked has had she-heads, liars, thieves, abusers, and just nasty people you're better off avoiding. It's a sad fact that at least 1 of every 5 people is a total shithead. 1 in 5. But I have 4 sisters. Sorry, but nurses? All the bitches from my high school became nurses. Around here a bunch of them became licensed child care providers. Academia. Intelligent people in very niche areas, with no consideration for the real world and social interaction, whilst simultaneously being told they are the best in the world at certain specific subject areas, which is true, but just not as many people care as academics think they do. You end up with an unnecessarily toxic environment of people trying to intellectually one-up each other and throw anyone off the ladder on their way up. It's a cruel, nasty, petty, and poisonous environment. My friend is in academia and my god is he the perfect fit for it. I'm too tired to list all the toxic and negative traits, but he's most of them, generally just an extreme superiority complex. Only reason I'm still friends is because he plays games with me online and new friends are impossible to find, lol. Any position holding any semblance of power. Unpopular opinion, but nurses. There is a lot of toxic, abusive high school girl drama type behavior among nurses. It's such an important job and about half the people doing it shouldn't be responsible for a yogurt, let alone a human being's life. I've seen some shit, man. It was weird how all of the mean girls from my high school went to college for nursing, lol. Homeowners associations. Real estate.